People train meticulously to become better athletes, stronger gym goers, and more flexible yogis, and these endeavors are pursued with an intense level of dedication. But how many people have this same level of dedication in approaching the way they walk? From what I can tell, not very many. Probably because walking is so basic and natural that a lot of us don't even think to treat it like exercise. But it is exercise. And to quote biomechanist David Weck, every step is a rep. My goal with this video is to give you an invitation to play, to throw a bunch of cues, tools, and perspectives at you, and to inspire you to play with them. Take what you need and leave the rest. Walking is actually a very complex movement. All of the muscles, tendons, and ligaments at work, the balance and coordination required to transfer weight between feet. It's a form of exercise that our bodies evolved to be extremely good at. As we evolved from quadrupedal to bipedal animals, we started using our hands for more technical things like hunting and foraging. This meant that we had to get really good at walking on 2 feet. I used to think that toe striking was always the optimal way to walk, because of the way that it engages your calf with each step and absorbs the impact. So many other animals walk on their toes and the balls of their feet, so why wouldn't I strive for that natural way of walking? I thought maybe it was because of our modern footwear that our walking style was so different. However, through my vast experience of being human and walking, I have now come to appreciate and reserve toe striking more for running and specifically walking downhill when I need the extra muscular absorption. Otherwise, I found that the natural roll of my foot helps distribute the impact across my foot. Like how a parkour roll, when jumping from a high place, converts downward motion into forward energy. This gentle roll helps prevent all the force from jolting into my heel and into my bones and knees. No jolting steps and no tiptoeing. There's a fun article that goes more in depth on the potential reasons that humans walk heel-toe. I will link it in the description, but to give you an idea, essentially, instead of walking tall on our toes, it is more efficient and we can cover more ground by rolling from heel to toe. Where the foot begins the step and where it ends adds more distance to each step and effectively gives us the advantage of longer legs. There are other scenarios where I use toe striking, such as in games where you have to be quiet and tiptoe around. The extra precision that the muscular engagement and smaller contact point provides when toe striking is perfect for this. Ultimately, the way that the foot interacts with the ground is different for everybody. Some people have more of a midfoot strike, others more heel-toe. However, another important variable to consider that can change the way you walk and strike is footwear. The way you walk in one pair of shoes can look a lot different from the way you walk in another. And although I'm a fan of heel-toe walking, a lot of thick-soled shoes exaggerate this motion, interfering with the natural roll and causing the steps to be more jolting in nature. For these reasons and others, I am a huge fan of barefoot shoes. For those who have heard the barefoot spiel before, I'll keep it quick. Here are the 3 main benefits. Thin soles work your foot muscles more and help you feel the ground and develop better proprioception, the sense of your body in space. Zero drop soles mean there's no difference between the thickness of the heel and forefoot, the sole is evenly thick. Better posture, improved gait, and coordination of each step. Wide toe box allows toes to spread, giving a wider base for balance, impact absorption, and strengthening for the foot and toes. I prefer barefoot shoes, like Zero shoes, but for something that's going to be a bit more impactful on my joints, like running or backpacking, I prefer something with a bit more cushion, like Ultras. Okay, so now that we've talked about how to approach foot strike, let's talk about how you can approach the rest of your body. The previously mentioned biomechanist David Weck focuses on what he calls balanced locomotion, which essentially is walking in a way that you maintain balance with each step that you take. This allows for more ease and efficiency of movement. The simplest way he has taught people to achieve this is with the simple cue of head over foot, placing your head in line with your foot each step that you take by bending the torso at the side slightly, or coiling the core, so that when you transfer weight from one foot to the other, you are able to maintain perfect balance with each step. I want to quickly mention that the jury is out for debate as to what efficient locomotion looks like. A solid counter-argument for this head-over-foot approach is that it wastes energy by adding extra motion to a movement that can already be effective with less. My own personal experience with this cue feels more like catching a wave and riding it than forcing a wave to move me. And because of the natural tensegrity of the body, the way the tension of the muscles, ligaments, and fascia work together in an integrated way, I believe that a lot of what may look like wasted energy is actually just energy flowing. When you walk in balance, you can avoid the repetitive stress of having to hold yourself in each position or in each step. You allow the structure of your body to hold you instead. One of the best tools to help with this cue is a flow rope, because it naturally carries you through the motion without you even needing to think about it. Each swing placing the head over the foot and rotating the shoulders. There are plenty of alternative ways to train this motion without using a rope, but in my opinion, using a rope is one of the best ways. While we're on the topic of cues, here are some other cues that have been useful for me. The first 3 are related to posture, and they should bring your spine into better alignment and give you more of an upright posture. 1. Imagine there's a string attached to the top of your head and it gets pulled and straightens your spine in the process. 2. Imagine you are carrying water between your collarbones in the little divot at the base of your neck. Do this by engaging the muscles in your mid-back. 3. Sometimes something as simple as head up, shoulders back can improve your walking posture a ton. Some other cues to play with. Tug the pelvis. This counteracts anterior pelvic tilt. Allow your hips to sway. This allows more energy to move. Relax, specifically your glutes. This can help you let go of unnecessary tightness. With each of these cues, it can be helpful to test the position and then allow your body to relax. A lot of this is simply noticing where there is extra tension, where there doesn't need to be, and then relaxing. Now is the fun part, adding variation to improve your walk. The first variation I would suggest you play with is walking backward. The reason for this is that each step backward causes the knee to go over the toe, putting more load on the knee and the muscles around the knee to help strengthen them in this position. It works your legs differently than forward walking in a way that can keep them healthy for walking longevity. This is especially true if you practice it under load, using a sled, a band, or a partner. You can learn more about this concept from the Kneesovertoesguy. The second variation is the SOB, or School of Biomechanics walk. This is a variation that I played with as part of Timothy Sheaf's School of Biomechanics, also known as Tim's Gym. Essentially, it is walking with a calf raise each step. The reason for this is that the posterior chain has muscles that connect from the tip of your head all the way down to the tip of your big toe. When we walk in this way, we are engaging that chain, strengthening the feet tremendously, and building and becoming aware of the connection between our feet, glutes, and the rest of the back of our body. Some other variations to play with. Changing the angles of the foot, either in pronation or supination. Part of why I like this is that it can help to get your body used to these angles under load. That way, when you accidentally roll your ankle when walking, it doesn't result in a sprain. Changing the level of your walking. This changes the way that your muscles engage. Internally or externally rotating the joints in your feet, knees, and hips, and see how it affects the rest of your body. Blindfold walking. This requires a lot of mindfulness and can help you develop better proprioception. At this gap year program that I worked at, one of the challenges that we would do is blindfold challenge, where we would have two people partner up, and one person would be blindfolded, and then the other person, they would spin the person that's blindfolded and then put them somewhere, guide them to somewhere random on the property, and they would have to make it back to the main base kitchen place outside just through feeling their way back and figuring out where they are. The other person was just there so that they wouldn't hurt themselves by running into trees or stepping off a cliff or something like that. But the whole time you have to be super aware of where you're walking and going, and each step, feel when you step on a pile of sticks and you're I don't want to put all my pressure on there because it'll break and then I'll scrape my foot or something, so you just put enough, and then you're is that stable? Okay, then you can figure out how to walk around. And it was just a great exercise for more proprioception and really fun game. Barefoot walking. For all the reasons that I've said, with the added benefit of grounding and directly connecting with the earth and getting dirty. Lastly, here are some other ideas about walking for you to play with. The way that you walk can affect your psychology and other people's perceptions of you. Walking fast with a sense of purpose can elicit feelings of purpose and determination, and people will notice it. This doesn't necessarily mean that you should just walk faster to try to be more attractive or look more charismatic. It's more about the fact that someone who is comfortable in their own skin, has energy, and is on purpose in life is naturally going to be someone who walks in this way, signaling those positive traits. That being said, pushing yourself to walk in a more confident way than you are normally comfortable with can be a great way to grow and in turn develop some of the traits that would make walking confidently more natural. The main question I'd ask yourself is, are you letting yourself walk how you want to? Do your hips want to sway? Let them sway. Allow the movement to happen. Maybe you walk fast, maybe you walk slow. Allow yourself the freedom to walk how you want. It might bring up fear of being too feminine or too masculine or just too yourself. Fear of being too sexual or sensual or weird. Amidst the fear, the option is still on the table, to simply walk how you very well fucking please. Another idea to consider is the value of being mindful of the way that you walk, specifically to avoid dysfunctional movement. Dick Van Dyke has a quote that goes like this: "The most important thing for old guys is never start going down the stairs sideways." To me, this statement is a combination of use it or lose it, and don't do dysfunctional shit. If you start compensating in your movement and don't resolve the root issues that are causing you to compensate, then it will perpetuate imbalance unless it is course corrected for function. Basically, if something's fucked, you should fix it. or go see someone that can help you fix it. Hit the PT office or make an appointment with a bodyworker, like someone who does Rolfing or Feldenkrais or some other holistic bodywork practice. Walking is one of the best places to start becoming aware of the way you move, and the ways that you could start to move in a more integrated and balanced way. Ultimately, achieving the best walk you can requires less form cueing and more individual mindfulness and embodiment. A way to play with this is to simply go on a mindful walk and be intensely aware and curious about the way that you are walking, the way parts of your body move in relation to other parts. Your legs, your hips and genitals, your shoulders, your ribs, your heart. Pay attention to the experience, feeling the muscle fibers in your thigh and hip engage to lift your leg, and feeling the sturdiness of the ground as your foot makes contact and your weight shifts. A simple cue for this mindful approach is to simply be in your body. Currently, my main embodiment inspiration, content-wise, is Chris Bale, Awakened Intent. I love his content because it constantly reminds me to come back to myself. It's really good stuff. Once I make the intention to be in my body as I walk, there's a natural progression from noticing what's currently happening in my body to then noticing how my body is called to move next. I notice tightness, then notice an invitation to relax. I'm not perfect at this practice. Sometimes I'll realize that what I thought was being in my body was a lot more like overthinking every sensation, but I feel with each step I take that I get a little closer to what I'm after. The key for me has been to strive again and again for persistent presence. Walking has the ability to be a practice for deep exploration, a whole world to dive into, but a lot of its benefits are gained simply by the act itself. A nice outside walk with fresh air and sun on your face, getting your blood flowing, your energy moving, changing your environment and changing your state. A break, a time for reflection, a time to simply be.